Hey everyone, welcome to the Bio Breakthroughs podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is the co-founder and CEO of Ocugen, Dr. Shankar Musunuri. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Jared.
I'm excited to have you here. Let's dive right in. Tell the audience a little bit about your background.
I'm a veteran in the biotech and pharma industry for over 30 years. I'm very passionate about, really impacting positively on patients' lives. And there are a lot of unmet medical needs. And if you take, there are so many, diseases which are orphan nature, as well as diseases which have a large disease burden. We still don't have answer with the medical science. So that's the reason, I after working for many years in the large pharma companies, I became an entrepreneur about 13 years ago. With them a passion, and we can have direct impact on patients' lives. And my target is taking a challenging targets where there are a lot of unmet medical needs, and that's where I think there is a lot of risk, but there is a lot of reward on the back end. If you solve those problems and help these patients, I think that's very rewarding.
And how did your background lead into starting Ocugen?
One, of course, I got a lot of experience working at large pharma companies like Wyeth and Pfizer, and then along with that, I do have good um, background on the technical side. I have a PhD, and I also have MBA from Duke. So mixing that technical and business background, it gave me confidence to take risk to become an entrepreneur, so I can pursue my passion.
I love it. And for our audience that maybe hasn't heard about Ocugen, and even if they have, give us the general breakdown of where the company is at today.
Um, yeah, Ocugen is founded on, we have three distinct um, platform technologies. We target unmet medical needs um, in using our cell and gene therapy platforms, and also there's unmet medical need. You take in the vaccines space. We're focused on vaccines too with our inhalation vaccine. So we have three unique platform technologies: gene therapies with the modifier gene therapy platform, targeting ophthalmology, eye space, mostly retinal diseases, and then cell therapies targeting regenerative medicine, targeting specifically cartilage repairs for knees. And then we have inhalation vaccine platform targeting COVID and flu. So, obviously, if you look at our tagline, it's a courageous innovation. Why? Because using our gene and cell therapies, we're targeting unmet medical needs. And when you target unmet medical needs, you're taking risk from business perspective because nobody has gone there. And all these platform technologies we have, they're first in class. And so that's what Ocugen is all about. Using our platform technologies in cell and gene therapies and vaccines, and going after diseases, and many of them are unmet medical needs. And using courage and innovation, we want to develop these products, take it to the market. And our mission is not over it when you take it to the market. It's about how many patients you treat. It's really important. It's not just taking this cutting edge technology platform, working hard, take it to the market. That's actually when our work starts. Our mission is to work even harder to provide market access for patients who need them globally, not just in US and EU.
And when people hear unmet medical needs, why are you so passionate at Ocugen about addressing these where not many people do, right? That's why you're addressing them, is because there's opportunity here. And but I would love to hear from you. You know, why are you and your team so passionate about, like, what came into the decision process of saying we want to go after unmet medical needs?
Um, yeah, if you take ophthalmology space, that's how when we started Ocugen, the co-founder and myself, Dr. Compella is an expert in ophthalmology. At that time, I didn't have a lot of ophthalmology background, but one thing, when he invited me to spend a couple of days in his lab at the University of Colorado, is working on biologicals targeting some retinal diseases where there is a significant unmet medical need. And I looked into that, and I came out, said, "Yep, you're absolutely right. there's so much to be done. And I mean, the reason is, if you take something like retinitis pigmentosa in ophthalmology space, and there are many inherited retinal diseases. That means your parents have it. Most likely, we're going to get it. And a lot of these diseases, they don't have any treatment today. And why it's disheartening is because many of these patients can become legally blind by the time they're in mid 40s, right? So there are about, between retinitis pigmentosa and Leber congenital amaurosis, there are about 125 genes which can get mutated. Currently, we have one gene therapy product in the marketplace, which serves less than 1,000 patients in US, one genetic mutation. How about those 124 genes? How about those 125,000 patients, remaining patients in US, and 1.6 million global? So if you put yourself in patient shoes, Jared, I mean, they are in desperate need. They start losing the vision. In this case, mostly in RP patients, their peripheral vision goes first, then they'll have like a central vision. So you're losing these visual functions, in the day-to-day stuff too. And suddenly, they may not be able to walk without hitting something, and then slowly you will become legally blind. And so putting yourself in the families, how they have to deal with that. And tomorrow I'm going to be blind, you know I mean, I may become burden for my family, and the family is thinking the same thing. How do we deal with this person, right? It's really disheartening. So from the patient perspective, there's so many patients who are in desperate need. So that's from orphan disease perspective, right? But there is another big disease in retinal space: dry age-related macular degeneration. Recently, we got two products approved. However, those products target one cause of the disease, whereas we actually recently got our IND to enter into clinic got cleared by FDA for OCU410, another modifier gene, and which targets four causes of the disease, not one cause. And we believe this could be a game changer with one-time potential curative therapy instead of giving multiple injections per year. And why this is important: when you get late stage of dry AMD is like 10 million patients in US. The 1 million is late stage geographic atrophy. So if you take overall dry AMD, it's 200 plus million patients globally. So why the geographic atrophy patients get so desperate? They have almost like a lesions, we call it, in a simple terms, you can call it a black spot in the central vision. And once you start seeing it, I am trying to read, and middle of the page I cannot read. Slowly that spot will increase, and eventually I'll become blind. So once you start seeing it, I become desperate. Oh my God, even though it's age related, many of the patients could be over 60. I'm thinking, how do I do day-to-day stuff? How do I go and, I may not be able to see my family or my grandkids, and suddenly I cannot drive, so that really hits you, and they become desperate. And I think, even though recently there are some approvals, but we believe there's a significant unmet medical need. If I can take our gene therapy and potentially show clinical efficacy with good safety, and that's a game changer. If I can treat these patients on a single one potential injection back of the eye in a subretinal dose, and that's a potential cure for life. That will be so rewarding, right? Changing so many lives globally. So we are targeting with our gene therapies not just um, rare diseases. We're also targeting diseases that are big, and so that could be game changer. And so that's where we come in, using this technology platform, which is gene agnostic rather than traditional gene therapies targeting one to one. You have a mutation, non-functioning gene, you give a functioning gene through gene therapy vector, and yeah, you fix that. But however, system, you are assuming the entire system is okay. Sometimes with epigenetics, in eye space, and you can try to treat that non-functioning gene with a functioning gene through gene therapy. You're assuming the system is surviving. But if the photoreceptors they're still degenerating because of some cascading effect, you're not looking into that. So that's why the gene therapies we have, they're like master genes in the retina. They control all the networks from cell development to inflammation, metabolism to survival, and they bring homeostasis, resetting it at the molecular level and cellular level. and provide and restore the function and provide a healthy environment for cells to survive. And that's very important for people to understand. And that's why we can use this technology to target potentially multiple genetic mutations, not one. And that's why the first product, OCU400, we do have orphan drug designation, broad orphan for RP and LCA in US and Europe, targeting potentially all those 125 genetic mutations and targeting like those 1.6 million people globally. So companies don't have to work on those 125 products, which is almost impossible. And people may pick like, a disease with 2,000 patients, 3,000 patients, or because today gene therapies are charging over $3 million because it's a one dose potential curative therapy for life. So pharmacoeconomics in US are, kind of justifying that price. However, it becomes very difficult. So there is no way companies are going to develop 125 products, right? So that's where I think we believe this technology platform is game changer, and we want to work harder and harder to move these programs in the clinic as fast as we can. So on the other side, patients globally can benefit.
One of the reasons I like to do video is because when I ask questions like that and I can see the passion as you're talking through this, I can actually see it. So thank you so much for telling us more. And I want to make sure too we are able to go into some cool recent updates that you've had in terms of where things are at with the company, but then also you have some personnel uh, additions, right? That you're excited about. So would love to hear more about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So recently, our first gene therapy program under modified gene therapy platform technology, OCU400, we provided an update from our current phase 1 to clinical trials. And so these results are very encouraging because number one, we are looking into multiple mutations in RP patients. And sometimes, as I mentioned, these patients may have this master gene defect itself. Then one can say, okay, there is a non-functioning gene, like traditional gene therapy give a functioning gene. That's fine. It should work, right? So we're also testing this, as I mentioned before, we can target all these potential mutations. We picked another mutation called rhodopsin. That mutation is very difficult to treat, and it has that mutation itself, that genetic mutation has over 10,000 patients under rhodopsin mutations. And so that one is very encouraging because we're using our technology, proving our concept as a gene agnostic, not one to one, and rhodopsin is a proof. And so in this clinical trial, first of all, we showed favorable safety and tolerability in all these subjects. And there are about 12 subjects who got tracked some of them up to 12 months, some up to 9 months, some up to 6 months. And so the total 12. And 75% of these subjects demonstrated stabilization or improvement in one of the functional endpoints, like mobility. They go through this mobility course at a different light levels, and they showed either stabilization or improvement. And 83%, 10 out of 12 subjects demonstrated preservation or improvement in treated eye, either with BCVA or low light visual acuity or mobility course. So that means, which is very encouraging. So, you look at these multiple endpoints and they're showing improvement or stabilization. Why it's important? Remember, first of all these patients, their vision is degenerating. Okay, there's nothing out there for these patients. If you're able to even stabilize with the data we have, it's going to come, more data is going to come. If we're able to stabilize, that's very, very important. That means even I have 50% vision left, I can function, okay? And if I can preserve it rest of my life, that'll be really good, right? That's amazing. So, and also improving. Improving means almost like a reversal of where I am to improving. That's even good. So I think that's what I think these results are very compelling. And 86% of patients, 6 out of 7 with the rhodopsin mutation, showed either stabilization or increase. That's very important, as I mentioned to you before. So that's a gene agnostic approach. So these results are very encouraging. So the next steps for this program are we're actually planning to meet with agencies by the end of the year, like FDA and eventually EMA, European Medicines Agency. and discuss our phase 3 design. And if we get an agreement, we're potentially planning to initiate our phase 3 clinical trial by the end of the year or early next year. That's important, so that we move on to the phase 3. So if everything goes according to our plan, potentially we can launch this in 2026 and make it available. And so that's on our gene therapy highlights, recent highlights. And the personal, we have a big mission, right, Jared? And we also have, cell therapy program for cartilage repairs. It's first of its kind. It's a 3D. We can take your chondrocytes and we can grow them in our lab. We have proprietary bioreactors. 6 to 8 weeks, we send it back to orthopedic. There's nothing like that. It's a 3D technology. It's like so these implants. So we believe that's going to get into phase 3 sometime second half of next year, because we're building our own manufacturing facilities in Pennsylvania. And so that's for cartilage repairs. There's a significant unmet medical need. About 1 million patients in US get arthroscopic surgeries with the knee cartilage repairs today. The third one is vaccine platform, inhalation vaccines. Why it's important? Probably you must have taken multiple vaccines, right? Current vaccines. So taking COVID shots every 3 months is not an answer. People get, vaccine fatigue. And so what is missing in current vaccine? They did a great job during pandemic to, prevent hospitalization, saving a lot of lives. But however, now as the data is coming out, scientific data, what you need is you need to prevent transmission so people don't get infected first. What is the best way to do that? Is giving mucosal vaccines. If you give like intranasal or inhalation vaccines, then you produce mucosal antibodies in addition to systemic. So you have potential to prevent transmission of any virus. And it's not just for COVID, for other viruses too, it will be useful. And then you also have durability. If I can get that vaccine work for 1 year, just like flu shots you take every year, then it becomes a normal course. So we believe our technology, some of it is licensed and some we developed. We created an inhalation vaccine platform for COVID and flu, and we're very excited about it. Based on ex-US data, this inhalation vaccine has potential to go durability for 1 year or more, and it can prevent potentially transmission through mucosal antibodies. So where the virus enter. So that's good. So we're excited about it. So again, that can really do a lot of good for global health once we develop this in the next few years. So with that said, what do we need as a company right now? Any growing biotech, once you get some data and cutting edge technology platform like gene therapy, cell therapies, and even vaccines taking it to the next level, we do need to have partnerships, and on vaccine side, of course, government partnerships. We're working with multiple agencies, and any support from them will be very rewarding because it's for public health, and I think it should be public-private partnership, and it's a lot of capital is needed to run these vaccine trials. So we're working hard on that. And then from gene therapy side, of course, potential corporate and big pharma partnerships will be very rewarding to move the programs faster. And also on the other end, once you get there, they have excellent infrastructure, and so that will really maximize value for our patients and Ocugen shareholders too. So in order to accelerate and aggressively work on those fronts, potential government funding on vaccine side to partnerships on gene therapy, we created a very highly credible business advisory board this year, and we have 4 members on that. Recently, we added Connie Collinsworth, who worked for many, many years, a very senior role at Gates Foundation, including Chief Operating Officer, to join that. And because remember, our goal is not to only get these products to the market, which are like on the cutting edge technologies, and our work starts then, because we want to work even harder to provide global market access for patients everywhere, and so who need them. So that takes a lot of effort, because everywhere people are not going to be able to pay, like US and EU, and some places we have to do a lot of good work, but saving these lives and supporting these lives. And so I think with that, Connie, and we have Senator Pat Toomey on the scientific advisory, on the business advisory board. We got Ambassador Joe Westphal and Dr. Dennis Carey. So it's a highly credible team. They're very passionate about what Ocugen is doing, and they are here to help our management team to navigate and guide for these potential partnerships and to navigate our strategy, short term and long term. So with that, we're very excited. We have a lot of things going on at Ocugen, and potentially starting gene therapy first phase 3 clinical trial next year, then cell therapy phase 3 clinical trial in neocart, and looking forward to a lot of advancement with some government support on the vaccine side. So from all three cylinders we're firing, and our goal is to really take care of patients.
It sounds like you have a lot of exciting stuff that you're that is both in the works and some new additions. So I'm really excited for you. And like I said, we'll need to have you come on again in the future to kind of give us an update on where things are at, and then we can also dive deeper. Right, this is your first time coming on the show, which we're again super excited about. The last thing I have before we wrap up here is it says here you're the world's biggest Patriots fan. Is that true?
Eagles fan, Jared.
It says Patriots in all caps. It says ask him about the Patriots. Is that not
Look at
true?
that, my boys.
Oh,
Super Bowl
it's
when they
Eagles.
won the
Eagle.
Super Bowl. Yeah, yeah.
I'm the Patriots fan. That's what
All
it is.
right.
Okay. All right. That's my mistake. Uh, uh,
Hey, at least you're not a Cowboys fan, so it's okay.
exactly. No, go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
I don't
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Cowboys. Uh, on that note, thank you so much for joining us here today, and excited to have you on in the near future. And best of luck to you and your team.
yeah. Thank you for having me, Jared. Really, thank you.